Hi everyone, and welcome back to Edge-CGI. Eugene here, and it's time for a new ZBrush tutorial. This time we'll do something a bit different and see at some of the hard surface techniques inside of ZBrush. This tutorial will cover working with edge loops and creating panels on a kind of futuristic looking orb kind of device. Alright, here we are in ZBrush interface yet again. I'll start with creating a sphere real quick here. Make it editable, make polymesh 3D, and we'll be using SliceCurve brush. Shift click. It's a shift click brush, and what it does, it kind of separates your model into two polygroups and slices it on the border of those polygroups. Now if you hold shift while dragging the line, it will have an angular snap. If you press alt once, it will curve, and if you press alt twice, it will create this hard edge. Now this doesn't support symmetry, so you have to go down to modify topology and click mirror and weld for the symmetry to take effect. So here, let's start slicing it up into panels. Now every separate polygroup will represent a panel that will later extrude with edge loop workflow. Let's have a panel up here. Let's change mirror and weld here to Z-axis because I want to kind of break these panels up a bit. Slice it like that and mirror and weld it. Okay, now let's go and use trim brush. It works the same way, but what it does, it it deletes everything that is outside of the line, and create another panel here. Okay, so at this point we kind of want to start combining some of those polygroups. Let's isolate the ones that we want to be a single polygroup here. Let's click with the select lasso brush here, click on the polygroups that we kind of want to make it invisible, then reverse visibility, inverse it. Go here to polygroup menu and click group visible. Okay. Now I kind of realized I wanted this to be a separate panel, so let's hide this first. Okay, now let's group these guys. It becomes yellow. Let's select these. Shift click on those guys. Okay, and I've kind of selected more than we need. Let's deselect this little guy here, and deselect this guy down here. Was part of the purple polygroup. Group visible. Now let's make this yellow and purple ones. Same polygroup again, select them, group visible. Here are the panels that we kind of want to have. Okay, so let's start with this circle here. Go to edge loop menu. We have several options here. We'll start with edge loop. It kind of creates edge loop and pushes the original one inside or outside, depending on displacement. Now you see it kind of has this bad topology here due to slicing. So we'll fix this with group loops. Click group loops, and now if we edge loop again, it's nice and crisp. So now let's flatten this with clip curve brush. It works the same way as slice brush, same brush family basically. Okay, so now it's nice and flat, and we can now to create kind of paneling with edge loops again. Let's select this border polygroup here, create an edge loop inside, deselect the bordering edge loop, and with negative displacement create another edge loop, and you can see it kind of creates this beautiful crisp paneling. Okay, so now let's go ahead and select some polygroups. We'll be using panel loops now. So let's select all these polygroups that we want to kind of make panels of. Reverse the selection, only make those guys visible. Okay, so in panel loops we have several options. We should disable double, because double kind of breaks mesh integrity if we want to keep it the same mesh. There's polish. You got to be careful with this. It kind of sometimes messes it up. Thickness, just maybe increase it a bit, and click panel loops, and you can see it kind of creates a separate panel out of every polygroup. Pretty convenient. Okay, so now we might kind of want to create some, since the brush is nonlinear, we can just jump ahead right now and create some more polygroups here. Let's isolate this cyan polygroup here and insert some more slices in there with slice rectangular. There we go. And some more buttons here. Oops, that's not right. There we go. Go down to modify topology, mirror and weld by z-axis. Okay, it's nice and mirrored now. Okay, so let's isolate those newly created polygroups, or newly created slices, if you will. Go to edge loop, panel loops. All the settings that we used before are carried over here. Okay. Great. So if we subdivide a couple of times, you can see that our crisp corners kind of start disappearing. So we need to manually insert creases now. Now there's this level setting here. It kind of determines how many subdivision levels our creases will stay there. And we'll be using just the crease PG since all of our edges are on the different polygroup. Crease PG just creases all the polygroup borders. Now if we subdivide it a couple of more times, you'll see that we kind of retain those beautiful creased edges here. Okay, let's go ahead and add some detailing on those panels. And where could we insert them? Okay, let's detail this guy here. This small panel in between. We can see we have rows of polygroups there, so let's isolate them. Okay, oops, there we go. And go into Edge Loop menu here. Click with 0 displacement, click Edge Loop to generate new Edge Loop inside. And deselect this green one. Negative displacement, but for some reason it doesn't work. It doesn't displace it. Now that happens sometimes. Let's try it several times here. Maybe positive something. No? Okay, that's weird. Alright, well, there's a workaround here. Let's go down to deformation with the only our thin polygroup selected and just inflate it negative. And as you can see, it kind of does the same thing, just manually, instead of automatically doing it for you. Okay, so let's crease polygroup border once again. Check if it's okay, it's great. Alright, now let's kind of do the same thing with these guys here. Zoom in, isolate those guys. Only make those polygroups visible that we want to tweak here. Insert a polygroup. Select the narrowest one. And then go to deformation and negative inflate those guys as well. Okay, here we go. Just nice little detail touch. Okay, so next step. Why don't we create some custom alphas here? In order to do that, we need to resize the document here, make it square. It will be easier that way. Make it 1000 by 1000 and click resize. 1000 by 1000. No, wait a minute. And just 1000 by 1000 there. Okay. I typed in 100 the first time around. Click yes. Now I'll stretch it out. Let's Control N to click the canvas. Create new tool here. First zoom out to kind of see the our new rectangular canvas. Then create this new plane 3D. Make it editable. Don't forget to click Polymesh 3D. And then divide it a couple of times, but don't forget to disable this smoothing here. We don't want any smooth corners. Now in transform, you can select radial symmetry here, and we can start creating this these beautiful patterns here that we'll then make an alpha out of, or just some kind of I don't know what that could be. Maybe it's it doesn't have to be anything special or anything particular, just some kind of pattern that we'll use throughout on our model. Radial symmetry is just trimming it here a bit. Just that's a trim dynamic brush. Some polish, polishing with H polish brush. And then go to alpha menu. There's transfer down here and click grab dock. You can see it appeared here in our alpha panel right away. Let's go back to where our canvas is intact. There we go. And tweak our symmetry a bit. We'll go with 4. So I want to create this kind of technical lines. I'm not really sure what they're called. Go with layer brush here. Layer brush and Alt click Shift drag. This will angle negative angle snap it. Okay, so we select smoothing was a bad idea. Okay, we need more subdivision levels here. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. Okay. Grab dock. Let's make another one, just a single element from the previous one. Need to select no alpha here. So Alt click, Shift drag. Okay, grab dock again. Now we can go ahead, go back to our previous model, zoom in our canvas a bit to make it more comfortable working with it. And select our standard brush with our newly created alphas here. As you can see, there it is. Go into the alpha menu and inverse it. And now let's go with drag dot here first. Let's try dragging that around. The way it works is if you press it, it starts dragging your alpha around your geometry here. We need a couple of more subdivision levels for nice crisper details here. Less Z intensity here. With drag dot, it's sometimes hard to position those guys around, so there's some tweaking involved here. Forgot to switch the symmetry here on. There we go. Okay, so let's try dragging those guys around. You can still hold Shift for angular snap. Let's add a couple of those guys up here on this panel. We just kind of basically want to achieve more manufactured look. And I've noticed some artifacts here down here at the bottom. That's due to the sphere topology of all the edge loops converging into a single point. Let's try to go down a couple of subdivision levels and getting rid of those guys. We'll first isolate this polygroup. It's nice, it's an advantage of working with polygroups. Try smoothing that out. But the problem is 99% of the time, that bad topology will stay throughout, even will be visible through smoothing and all the subdivision levels. So in order to get rid of that, you need to actually retopologize it for, like, say in ZRemesher. I won't do it right now because that's not our subject matter, but we'll just cover that with one of our custom alphas. But basically, you go to ZRemesher and retopologize just that panel. Sometimes it produces results even weirder than they were before, so that's one of the drawbacks of working with, ZBrush. It's more of like an organic thing. I'm just trying to maybe polish this. No, nothing helps. Okay, well, at least it doesn't look as ugly as it was before. Let's go to our highest subdivision level here and just insert a couple of more of our little lines here. Okay. Where could we put them? There we go. Okay, let's grab the second custom alpha that we've made. Inverse it as well. We'll use another stroke. It's drag rectangle. As you can see, we have this hard edge. We can get rid of it with radial fade inside of alpha modify menu. So notice how alpha pictogram is all circular now. Just drag it out here. You can play more with those settings with midpoint to kind of maybe even it out a bit more if you don't want this elevation here a bit. I'm kind of fine with this elevation here. Okay. Let's see our third alpha. It automatically calculated the midpoint here. Let's increase the intensity here. Let's experiment with it a bit. Okay, let's add a couple more of those guys. Just basically drag rectangle. Notice how drag rectangle kind of drags it from the center of where it's going to be. As you can see, we've covered our bed topology here. Okay, a couple of more. Okay, so now let's grab let's grab some other alpha here and create more like what you call them, like bolt holes here to kind of push this manufactured look even further. We need to disable radial fade first. Let's go back to alpha menu. There it is. Disable radial fade because it kind of messes up our hard edge alpha here. Maybe just a bit less intensity. And just, those bolt holes here and there. Just to kind of make it look like it was manufactured on some kind of factory. Alright. Just drop them here and there. Just basically creating visual noise. And we're almost there at this point. There are numerous other hard surface techniques within ZBrush. It's really hard to kind of cover them all at once. But maybe if this thing becomes, this subject matter becomes a series, we'll try to cover as many as possible eventually. A lot of times people would create a concept mesh first and then clean it up, break it into different subtools, involves a lot of retopologizing. We've kind of, just saw the tip of the iceberg here with this method here, just quick panel generation, mesh slicing and all that. I hope some of these methods of working with hard edge surfaces inside of ZBrush will find their way into your workflow. I kind of went ahead and rendered this model with Keyshot, and as you can see, in a simple model like this with some texture slapped on top and proper rendering with more dramatic lighting can still look good and totally works as a concept. If you want to learn more about Keyshot, Zbrush to Keyshot workflow that I've used here, go ahead and watch my previous tutorial here on Edge-CGI, where we kind of rendered an alien creature monster in Keyshot and tweaked some HDRI maps and did all that, and with eventually composited it in Photoshop. I hope you found this tutorial informative. Don't hesitate to go and watch other videos on the channel. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching Edge-CGI. See you next time. Bye.